You are listening to the Tricorder Transmissions Special Episode 39.
Welcome to the 39th Supplemental Log episode of the Tricorder Transmissions. I am Jeff Hulit, and tonight we're going to be reacting to the new Star Trek Discovery trailer that came out just recently. So, this isn't meant to be a deep dive or analysis or a shot-by-shot discussion of the trailer like we did some of the previous stuff. So this is just about our initial reactions and how we feel about what we've seen in general. So here to help me with that is a group of our hosts and regular contributors on the Tricorder Transmission, starting with the host of Shore Leave, our Star Trek Convention Community show, the wonderful Heather Barker is here.
Hi, how are you?
Wonderful, and how are you?
I'm pretty good. Super happy to talk about Discovery.
Yes. It's an exciting time for all of us Star Trek fans, and I know the next guy here is just as excited, if not more, Mr. Jim Moorhouse, host of our newest show here on the Tricorder Transmissions. It's the Trek Ranks podcast. How are you, Jim?
I am excellent, and it is the Trek Ranks podcast, and we're going to talk about Discovery.
We certainly are. I wonder what Trek Ranks episode we'll get to before someone puts an episode of Discovery in one of their lists.
I know, and at some point there will be a Discovery topic on Trek Ranks. Can't wait for that day.
Oh, for sure. And finally, moving right along, we have the indispensable regular contributor to several of our shows, the always awesome Claire Little is here as well.
Hello. Good to be here. I just want you to know I just waved at an empty room when I said that.
So Claire just tipped the hat that we're not all in the same room together, as much as we'd all like to be. But very soon, very near in the future, a little more than a couple months from now, we all will be in the same room and hopefully be doing something like this there. But for now, we are all here, as we said before, to give our reactions to the Star Trek Discovery trailer. So I'm not sure who to start with first. Why don't we go with Claire?
Ooh.
Good choice.
My first reaction was, honestly, I got chills. Like, that's not a reaction you can fake or control. It either happens or it doesn't. And I totally got chills when I saw the Discovery trailer. And I watched it again right before we recorded, and I got chills again. So I'm super excited. I mean, I feel like at this point, we don't know enough about the plot and the backstory and the rationale for some of the makeup and costume and set design decisions, which I know have been kind of contentious. So I really feel like no matter what your reaction is to whether you like the way something visually looks or not, like, there's so much explanation that we are going to get that we don't have now. But I kind of feel like saying, this is good or this is bad. I know that's what Trekkies do, but we can't do that yet, right? We can't say I hate this or I don't like this because we don't know why they did it. They might have a great reason. Yeah.
I would hope not.
Yeah. No, I also had a very visceral reaction to the trailer, and I definitely got chills. I may have got a little emotionally teary, but it's just that really says something about either how crazy we are as fans or how great the show is, that after all this time, most people I know had a very powerful reaction watching the trailer, which is whether it was chills or tears, or I don't know anybody that was actually really angry about it, but apparently that might be a reaction some people had.
Emotionally teary after finding out Star Trek's returning to TV after 12 years.
Just
Never.
The very first scene. Like, I just, and yeah, I watched it. I think I watched it yesterday, and same thing. Like, I don't watch it 10 times a day or anything, but every time that I do.
No, who would do that?
You might.
Well, my reaction was like a little bit like what Claire said, thinking about it in two ways, which is, one, just looking at what we're seeing and knowing how much is being put into this in terms of the sets and the remote location shoots and the special effects and just the overall production quality. And then the speculation part is kind of, now you're just a few little clues because we have no idea really what this story is about, but we know there's Klingons there. You see these, my biggest takeaway from it was this little nugget about Michael Burnham's backstory somehow being involved with Vulcan and Sarek.
Yeah.
And that is just like, what are you? I mean, that is, I mean, if that's a key part of her story and the Discovery story, I could not be more excited to find out what that's about.
And can we touch on how awesome Sarek is in the trailer?
Oh,
I had the shivers.
for sure. James Frain is such a great actor. When they cast him, it was like, oh my God, this guy is perfect. All the shows we've seen him in over the years. So, and it looks like from the trailer, again, total speculation, who knows what it actually is, but it looks like some type of fatherly presence with Michael Burnham, where there's one line where to me it sounds like he's chiding her. He says, you know, what have you done out there in Federation space? Almost like he's saying, like he's like asking, like, why are you wasting your time out there? What are you really accomplishing? That kind of, who knows if that's what it is, but that's what it feels like, and that's the fun part of the speculation right now, with this just being the.
That was my favorite line of the entire. I hate to say that, but I love the implications of that, because that opens up this huge amount of mystery in my mind as to what they're doing out there and what we're going to discover while we're watching the show about what's really going on. And you know, they're kind of out in this area of space that we hopefully haven't been to before, we haven't seen before.
Yeah. James Frain. So I've watched him. He's been in a lot of good television. I think the most recent thing is Gotham. I think, although that might have been a few seasons ago, I stopped watching. But so even though I love him and adore him, I was having a little bit of James Frain burnout, because he's been in so many things. And when he got this role, I was like, oh, okay, you know, here he is in another show. When I saw him as Sarek, I was sold. I was blown away. I was blown away by how he came together as Sarek in the trailer, just as well as the entire quality of the trailer itself. It was very cinematic, and I don't know what I was expecting. I think I kind of set low expectations just in case, and I was just completely blown away by the quality of the trailer, the quality of the makeup. You can tell that we've had to wait for a reason. Like I cannot complain about waiting. What is it, 6 months now? Or our original air date was supposed to be January 2017, right?
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah.
Yep. So we're about 6 months, and I have no complaints. And I have not heard a single other person saying, oh, well, what are we waiting for?
You're so right. It's all, you can see it on screen in these 2 minutes of the level that this is going to, the cinematic level, you know.
Yeah.
I agree. And, you know, I like the fact that they chose to go that cinematic route, because the reboot we've seen with the Kelvin timeline films, you know, it upgrades all the technology, and it, you know, gives a whole fresh look, a more modern look to, you know, the 60s era Star Trek. So to follow along in that same type of a vein with the technology and Discovery, I think makes a lot of sense, especially since we're thinking that a lot of new fans who've been introduced to Star Trek or reintroduced through the Kelvin movies will be watching this. Yep. So it will be an easy, smooth transition for them.
And I really don't have a problem with the fact that, yeah, this technology looks way more advanced than what the Enterprise had in the original series. I mean, 50 years have passed production-wise and technology-wise for the audience. Like, it's inevitable. And to me, it's completely fine. Like, it would be bizarre to put something on the screen today that looked like it actually fit 10 years prior to the original series.
Yeah.
I mean, they had literal physical chronometers that had like numbers on a dial. I love the original series, don't get me wrong, and I love the way it looks, but you can't put that in front of today's TV audience, especially if they're not prior Star Trek fans, and say, well, it's because we are tied to 50 years ago's version of the future, when technology expectations were completely different than they ended up actually being in reality. Yeah. Like, you just can't do that.
Yeah, I think I made a tweet, something about, it is science fiction, so you can use your imagination a little bit here and forgive that. I wonder, because I've seen criticism about the technology, and it's too advanced. And I'm like, well, what do you expect? Like, really, it's somebody, please answer me out there. Like, what do you really expect them to present? I've
never.
Well, and for new fans, I'm sorry, you could put a perfect replica of the 1960s production values and set design and costuming and lighting design, you could replicate that perfectly today and put it on TV, and 90% of TV viewers would laugh and not watch it because it would be way outside of their expectations. And even some diehard Trekkies might look at it and be like, yeah, that really doesn't work as well when it's like modern actors. I don't know. It just, the acting styles are different now. All of it works great in a 1960s production, but it just, you can't replicate that today and have it be successful.
And, I think you also have to take a real world look at, what we have in our hands today, the things that we're going to be watching this show on. What we're watching the show on can't be better technology than what's in the show, right?
Exactly. I mean, look at like Captain Picard's Ready Room viewer. It's huge and bulky, and it's 4x3. I mean, it's even the way it is.
They go back to letterbox in the future.
Are 4x3. Yeah, for some reason. That's the one thing that dates Enterprise more than anything else. That show actually, I think, achieved being timeless really well, except for the 4x3 view screens. But anyway.
Maybe the trend goes back. Yeah,
it was filmed in widescreen, and yet the view screens are 4x3. But I digress.
Well, they pan and scan all the stuff when they watch it.
Yeah.
I mean, continuity and consistency is super important to me. It's a big part of it, but it's about the big picture stuff, and it's about the storytelling and the arcs, and it's not. I mean, it's not about these things. I always say, if like Binko the clown shows up and he's sitting in the middle of the bridge, and I'm like, wait, what am I watching here? This doesn't make any sense. If all of a sudden the captain's got a little bit, nicer communicator or screen to push buttons on, that doesn't bother me.
No, I think
consistency.
Ultimately, a lot of Star Trek fans, we believe this is ours, right? We love it so much. Some people say, fans are the reason Star Trek still exists today. We take a lot of ownership in Star Trek, but the reality is that we're not the ones making Star Trek, and CBS isn't making Star Trek just for us. I'm sure there will be a little fan service here and there in Discovery, but overall, they're wanting to attract new viewers, and to do that, they need to incorporate newer technology, a newer look, etc. So it's not just us. We want a bigger Star Trek family, right? We want to bring more fans into this franchise so that there is potential. I mean, already, we went from 13 episodes to 15 episodes. So that says that, they like what they saw. They want to see more of it. They are putting money into Star Trek. They are putting faith into Star Trek. And so I think it's up to us as viewers to support it and share it with our friends and attract those new people in hopes that we, make this family bigger and get the numbers up so that we get more Star Trek.
When Next Generation came out, people were freaking out. It's not Star Trek. This isn't Star Trek. This is not what we got in the 60s or got in the movies. Yeah. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with being skeptical about a new show. But obviously, Next Generation, people accepted it as Star Trek. I don't know anyone who 30 years later is still saying, no, that's not Star Trek. Because it's different from what we got in the 1960s. Same with Enterprise. I mean, even Enterprise, which is the most recent show, and it had the same prequel technology and production value kind of issues pop up. It's been wholly embraced. People may not like it, or maybe they love it, but no one questions whether it's Star Trek or not.
Yeah.
And by the way, that 2-episode increase in that commitment CBS has made, that is a huge thing that hasn't got enough attention. Exactly. That is a multi-million-dollar investment in something they obviously believe in, and to push that through when they didn't really need to, they obviously did it based on what they were seeing and getting better. Yeah. That says a lot. That's really awesome. And I would say, I actually, Heather, the way you said it, I don't have any ownership over Star Trek. I am along for the ride. I'm a big believer in I'm just a fan. I'm watching. I understand what goes into the production side of it's like with the Blu-rays. Everyone wants to complain about the DS9 Blu-rays. Oh. Instead, I just sit there and go, oh my God, it's impossible to even conceive that we got TNG and Blu-ray. I am so thankful for that. It's the amount of work and money they put in to get us TNG and Blu-ray, and then all people want to do is bitch about that DS9 and Voyager aren't going to be in Blu-ray. No, wrong.
I don't think any of those people watched the special features on the TNG Blu-rays that show exactly how much work went into that, because those special features are fascinating anyway. But yeah, they also reinforce just how much time, money, and effort went into those TNG Blu-rays.
So not to digress, but CBS is obviously behind this thing and cares. So that's a big part of it.
Yeah, I've heard somewhere on the internet, I hear people, oh, yeah, CBS wants it to fail, and I don't understand
absolutely
how anyone can think that when you see this kind of investment from CBS. So I think we can just put that one to rest.
When a production company doesn't want to actually make a TV show, they just stop making the TV show. They don't make it, they make more of it, and then cross their fingers that nobody likes it, so they don't have to keep making it. That's not how it works.
It's a nonsense argument.
Yeah.
Nonsense. So can we loop back around to Sonequa Martin Green for a second?
Oh, yes.
Can we just say, I've been a Walking Dead fan for a long time, and so I've been watching her on that, and she just made her exit from that show, spoiler alert. But I thought she did a great job in this short bit of trailer that we have. I have huge expectations for this character now.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
She killed it. And just, again, not knowing, one of my big questions going in was, how do you tell a Star Trek story where the captain's not the lead?
Yes.
And I'm already sold on that. I already see it.
Yep.
So now it's I totally get how they can do that based on these little snippets. Again, not knowing really anything, but these little snippets of, her outsider status, maybe being raised on Vulcan, trying to prove herself. So, but yeah, her performance in these a couple of clips was phenomenal. Looks really, really commanding.
Yeah, and she's so assertive. I love it.
And think of what they can do with her character dramatically, because she's not in charge. They can have so many other arcs around that character. I think it's an interesting perspective to change that, because we've only ever seen it done. I mean, we've had one-off episodes where it was told from a lesser ranking officer's perspective, but it was never the crux of a series before.
Well, and given that she starts at, I don't know actually chronologically what we saw in the trailer comes from in terms of where in the season, but she starts on the Shenzhou. Presumably she'll end up on Discovery at some point, given that that's the name of the show. So she can bounce around from ship to ship or assignment to assignment in a way that a captain really can't do. I mean, the few times that you see Picard going off and doing something else, it's because he got a two-parter.
Yeah.
He got to go off for 2 episodes and do something. But this could be really flexible. She could go, who knows? She could do anything. She could get reassigned anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
When you see her off the ship too in the beginning of the trailer, in that large desert expanse landscape, so she's going to be off exploring planets as well. So there's and the landscapes, just from that trailer alone, I'm just have huge high hopes for the landscapes that we're going to see.
For the first time ever, we're going to have televised Star Trek where all of the away missions are not in and around the LA area.
Yeah, exactly. No more Vasquez routes.
That is true. That is true. I'm so disappointed about that. Well, actually, what Claire was saying leads me to one of my big takeaways from it too. And I've been excited about this for years, knowing that if Star Trek ever came back, it was likely to come back in this kind of new model for the golden age of television here, where you've got these cable series that just tell these super tight 12, 13, 14 episode stories, super high production values, way more cinematic in terms of their story and story arcs. And just instead of just, these, one episode stories, there's going to be a huge canvas for them to tell the story, like Claire was saying, where who knows when Michael Burnham ends up on the Discovery, or who knows how much bouncing around they're doing, or what the story is going to be. But you feel like it's going to crisscross across these 15 episodes in a way that we just never really seen before in Trek.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to make the galaxy seem bigger.
Yes.
Because that's the one thing with, I think Deep Space Nine did got away from this more than any other current or previous series, because people had to come to them, so they were coming from all over the place. But with the other series set on a ship, it's like, wow, the Enterprise D or the original series Enterprise or Voyager just happened to always be the one ship to show up at this emergency situation or this unusual planet or whatever. It's like they always happen to be the ones in the neighborhood, which makes the universe or the galaxy seem a little smaller in a way.
It's a good point.
Yeah. That is fair. What about some of the other performances? Because I thought the Saru character looks amazing as well.
He's interesting. He's very intriguing. So that was the one eyebrow raise that I had, and it was because of the delivery of his lines.
Me too.
He's bioengineered to sense death, and death is coming. And I was like, okay. I find it very intriguing. The makeup on him is just I'm so happy to see this movie quality, just amazing makeup like we saw in Star Trek Beyond. That was just so big for me. And so he looks beautiful. His story is intriguing. And so I'm curious to find out more about him and his history. The Korean trailer, it was the Netflix trailer that I think was Korean based. They delivered that line differently. So he had just said like death is coming, and it was much more dramatic and less insight into the character. So I want to know more.
Yeah. I mean, and to have Doug Jones be the person inside that amazing makeup, we're so lucky because he performs with his entire body. Like he is so good in a full makeup. He gives this like extra something. Whatever is the deal with his character, we're in for a treat, I think.
Yeah, if you guys have not seen Doug Jones films, go watch them. Seriously, you will.
The guy acts from his head to his toes, but it's not like he doesn't it's like subtle, but it's amazing. Yeah.
He's amazing, and I felt like the character feels like the outsider, so I'm curious to see how he interacts with the crew, and again, he's on the Shenzhou, so is he going to end up on the Discovery? What's going on there? It's really interesting to see how it's going to come together. And we haven't even seen like 2 or 3 main characters. Like we haven't seen Lorca, we haven't Captain Lorca, Jason Isaacs, and we haven't seen Anthony Rapp, right? And he's playing Stamets?
We don't know. He may have been one of the Klingons because they are that makeup. I mean, I couldn't tell who.
No, he's the one playing
actors.
Anthony Rapp's playing the.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I'm thinking of Kenneth Mitchell,
the fungus expert, which I can't remember what.
Astromycologist.
Yes,
the astromycologist. I could not remember the actor's name, but I remembered that.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that we're going to get another trailer with those characters probably around Comic-Con time.
Yep.
I think that'll be the big draw. Unfortunately for STLV, a lot of people are like, yay, bring on the Discovery. I doubt that we're going to see a whole lot of Discovery stuff at STLV. I would be pleasantly surprised if we do. But I think timeline-wise, I'm guessing that the next trailer will have those characters in it, and maybe more from their perspective. So we may not even see the characters that we've already seen.
True.
I have to say, the more I think about it, I'm really excited about Rainn Wilson as Harry Mudd. I know that was a kind of a controversial choice to bring that character back because, at best, he's, sleazy, and at worst, he's a human trafficker. But I mean, I think Rainn Wilson is going to be really good. I mean, I don't know how I don't know if the character is going to be as sort of goofy and scenery chewing as he has been. I'd be fine with that if he was, but I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
I feel like this one's pretty easy for them because the trafficking and the misogyny part, it's super easy to not include that. This is before that. Yeah. So he could just be a scallywag and
he had other crimes on his rap sheet that were just sort of like generic smuggling and generic con artist kind of stuff. So I'm excited about it.
And given the more serious tone to the trailer, just applying that tone to the Harry Mudd character, I feel like it's not going to be that campy, silly Harry Mudd from the TOS days. I think they'll refine the character quite a bit.
Yeah.
If he does end up being campy, I'm not going to complain. I mean, hopefully there has to be a little bit of levity. I mean, I don't think anyone wants to see like True Detective in space.
But that'll be the perfect way to do it. That show's hilarious, by the way.
True Detective. Well, the second season was, but not intentionally.
But they can write it in a way where it's still dark, but it's still humorous. And I feel like with Rainn Wilson and that character and his backstory, I think that's going to be slam dunk for them. Just feel like that's going to work.
So the Klingons.
Yeah. Good
Look,
topic.
I'll just open that one up. I think these new Klingons look awesome. I am known for having the opinion that for some of our, worst feared villains in Star Trek, I'm not afraid of Klingons. I find them comical. I'm not intimidated by them. The only ones that have really scared me have been the JJ Klingons. So these Klingons are badass. Bleep bleep. They look amazing. They would scare me. Well, they do scare me, and I think they're beautifully done. I love the makeup. I love the interpretation that they've come up with. I don't need the Klingons to have hair. I think we're going to get a really interesting look into Klingon history, and I'm gung ho.
All Klingons must have hair. Oh, Chang.
No, what about Chang? Come on.
I know.
He technically has a little. Chang does technically have a tiny little braid in the back of his hair.
Yes, that is fair. The Klingons look fantastic. I am really interested to see what they do with them. The reality, I don't actually think they look that different. I know that's just me.
No, they kind of look close to the Kelvin Klingons.
They don't look too much different from the Kelvin.
I think a lot of it's the costuming. I think if they had
same
makeup, but they had costuming that is more movie and then TNG, that silver plated thing that they all wear. If they had costuming closer to that, I think people's reaction would have been a lot less strong.
Which is even more silly to think, because literally the costumes are completely different. They're nothing like anything you've ever seen a Klingon in. Mm-hmm. Just like any race or species you would ever expect to see would have different types of clothes to wear.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the most ludicrous argument. Well, they don't dress. No.
Yeah.
That is
my first thought was that they look very different, but honestly, like Klingons, it's become a running gag almost. You have to redesign the Klingons, even if it's just a little bit. Whenever you do something new, like at this point, they're always being redesigned. And I'm really looking forward to the plot explanation of how and why they look different. And even if they don't actually explicitly explain it, like Star Trek didn't explain the ridges for like 20 years, they don't have to explain why they look different, but just explain clearly they have like somewhat of a different culture than the Klingons that we are used to. So I want to know more about that. I'm excited.
You say clearly that it appears they have some. I am interested to hear what their backstory is, but we really don't know how different it is.
That's true, but that's true. It looks to me, so I had heard some rumors they might be sort of more ancient Klingons, and that sarcophagus, if that is indeed a sarcophagus, sort of feeds into that. But again, these are all totally rumors. I have no
I've heard those too, and I almost think it's like setting people up to be disappointed. I mean, I don't think there's any explanation needed for how these Klingons look, but I am curious to just hear what their story is, because it does appear they have a little bit of a different setup in terms of their ship and their actions.
And they seem to be closer to the movie and TNG plus era in terms of being this like hardcore warrior type people-ish, maybe, as opposed to the kind of sly, manipulative original series Klingons. And again, I'm not complaining.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, it stands to reason. My opinion of the Klingons overall is that they're great. I love the Kelvin reimagining of the Klingons, so this was right up my alley as well. Really quickly, before I go on to my next tangent about the Klingons, I think it's easy to just think of the Klingon homeworld like our own world. I mean, not all humans are the same, so why would all Klingons be the same? It's an easy explanation to say they're just a different tribe or a different country of Klingons, a different landmass. They evolved a little differently. It's not something that's so far-fetched, it's not something that we don't see in our own daily lives. But the quality of the makeup on the Klingons and Saru himself, I think that for me that bodes so well for what other aliens we're eventually going to wind up seeing. I think they're all going to be equally incredible, whether they're brand new or they're reimagined ones from other Trek shows that we've seen before. And here I'm stumping for the Gorn, of course. Would like to see a Gorn with no tail, please. No Enterprise tail additions, but I would live with it if there was one. But yeah, I mean, they're all going to be awesome, and I'm going to be sitting there on the edge of my seat every episode, waiting for the next new one to pop up, just based on these two that we've seen already.
And there was one on the bridge with the jewel.
Oh, right.
There's like jewels on his cheek, which look pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd like to. I'm curious about that. Are they scales? Is it or are they jewels like a decoration? Or yeah. Could that be a bullion?
I don't think so.
I mean, he's blue and bald. There's no line.
I think the jewels were blue. I don't think he was blue.
Oh no, he's blue.
Blue?
At least the way the light he was lit, he looked blue. It could have been a projection of something blue on the view screen or something. I don't know, but he definitely looked blue to me.
Got it.
I think he was blue. Yeah. Speaking of blue, what do you guys think about the uniforms?
I like
very blue.
I like them.
I like them too. I was a little bit. Well, I guess I can't say I was upset, but I was like, we're not going to get the multicolored uniforms yet, but that's okay. I mean, they are very in line with what we saw, I think, color-wise from the transition between Enterprise and TOS, right? So apparently somebody between Discovery and TOS decided to get colorful with things. But
I think you've got a good combo of the Enterprise jumpsuit, all that blue, plus the copper, silver, and gold really points to the Pike era of the cage, the uniforms you see in the cage.
Yeah, I think the connection with Enterprise is pretty cool if that's one of the design elements that they were thinking.
I was hoping that it was.
Because it is a nice flow into it. Yeah, I love the uniforms. I think they're really special. Since, it was a while ago when we saw the pips on the Delta Shield, which I love as well. I think that's a really clever way to start integrating those. And did you guys see the detail on? I think Tricorder was the first one to have it with.
Oh yeah.
With the Delta shields in the side embroidery, which is really cool.
I had no complaints about them.
No complaints.
So interior, the bridge design was another topic that I think we've seen been kicked around a little bit, and I thought it looked fantastic. To be honest with you, I thought it looked really, really slick, well designed. Felt very Kelvin, like the rest of it. Yeah. So I think it's a great bridge, and I'm looking forward to other ships that we're going to see, and the Discovery especially.
Yeah, I love the bridge and the way apparently it was underneath the Shenzhou hole, because they had that one shot where the camera kind of comes up through the glass and into Burnham standing there, which I love. So that they have the beams that look like they're kind of facing down a little bit, so it's kind of a new angle and a new look, but total Kelvin design, totally modern, totally cinematic, and looks expensive.
Huge view screen.
Yep, Kelvin style again.
Yeah, it's awesome. Heather, Claire, thoughts on the bridge?
I liked it. I like the overall feel. I do see the Kelvin timeline influence. It doesn't bother me. I've heard some people say that it's too dark, but it's not too dark. Like, I find enough light in those scenes that I don't feel it's too dark. I'm used to dark. I'm a Niner, so we have a lot of dark lighting on DS9. I think it looks great, and it feeds into this new. They said it was going to be dark, grittier, etc. So I'm feeling it.
Yeah, I don't think it's too dark either. I mean, you just watched yesterday's Enterprise and realize that tells you how brightly lit the TNG bridge set is. You get used to that darker alternate timeline bridge, and then at the end, when the lights change, suddenly the TNG bridge looks like spotlights are lighting it. I didn't think it was dark at all. I don't feel like we got any lingering shots of the bridge, but so I think we'll be able to see more. I don't have a good grasp in my head of the layout of the bridge yet, but what I saw, I liked.
And again, we don't think we've really seen Discovery yet either.
Yeah.
True.
So it's just the Shenzhou.
Yeah. And it's are we assuming that they're going to be the same type of ship and look the same? I don't,
maybe,
a lot of people seem to think that, and that may be, but I don't know. We'll see.
Unless they dropped that triangular aspect of the Discovery, I think the Shenzhou and the Discovery are going to be different classes.
So here's my thing.
I don't know.
Not that I want to get too far into this, because who knows, but I think the Shenzhou, one of the releases at some point had a wire framing of the ship, and it was a little bit different style. It wasn't that Macquarie triangular style, but the ship coming out of the clouds, to me, I think that's the Discovery, because that one looks like it's definitely got the triangle, the triangular base. So I was thinking that maybe that scene at the end, when they're walking through the dunes, was at the end of the pilot or the end of the first episode, where they've kind of gone through everything and they're down on this planet, and she's saying, "All right, you've served for me for 7 years. Time for you to have your own ship." Not that it's her ship, which doesn't make sense, but it could be her first command because she would be the commander of that ship.
Or that could be the end of the first season.
That would be crazy. That I doubt, because
I would love that to be the end of the first season.
Well, they haven't filmed that yet, but they could be thinking ahead. You never know.
Be thinking ahead.
You never know.
How many times have things been in trailers and not shown up?
For sure.
Yeah.
But I think the again, I have to look at it closely. It's not like I've studied it that hard, but I think the one coming out from the planet in the clouds, that looks like the Discovery to me with the triangular base, and I think the Shenzhou's going to be a little bit different style. We'll see.
Time will tell. I think the only other interior shot we saw was a hallway corridor scene. So we got that the same kind of rounded Kelvin hallway corridors with the arched doorways.
Looked classic.
Yeah.
Although it didn't. I mean, it had a little bit of a TMP feel, from some of the movies. It wasn't completely with a little bit of the angled archways.
Yeah, I thought they had more shape to them, and they weren't just arches.
Oh, we all see what we want to see. Did you guys see that scene where Spock was shooting in his EV suit? Shooting.
Yes.
Oh no, wait, that was Burnham. Sorry. But that was clearly an homage. There's no way that wasn't. It looks exactly the same as the Spock shot.
It does. It looked really great too.
Really cool.
That
really
suit was amazing.
And if we could tying back real quick to the whole Vulcan, Michael Burnham, Sarek thing, I'm hanging on one word in that trailer, and it's the word "too." When Sarek says that her tongue is too human to speak Vulcan, not just you're a human and you can't speak Vulcan. I don't know. I'm feeling like there's some sort of, is she part Vulcan? Because there's no Spock was half human, but he looked 100% Vulcan.
Right.
So just to say, and then you get Cybok, and sorry to bring Star Trek V into this, but he does.
Never be sorry for that.
I know.
Never apologize.
No, but I'm saying, he demonstrates that a half Vulcan isn't necessarily going to be as Vulcan as Spock is. They can be emotional, and Vulcans can be emotional anyway. But so maybe she is part Vulcan and just doesn't visually look as Vulcan as Spock. Another part Vulcan does. I don't know. I'm just kind of obsessing over that one.
I think that's probable. I think it's very possible, if not probable, because we never see her ears. I went through frame by frame and looked, and you never see her ears, so she could just simply have Vulcan ears.
And there's that scene where it was just Tricorder described it as a medical scanner, but the timing of that scene coming right after your tongue is too human, I wonder if that's not some sort of a medical thing to change her appearance so that she just doesn't look Vulcan at all anymore, because she doesn't. I mean, I don't know, not to hide it, but to sort of just put that part of her life and herself.
I love rampant speculation, but I want to go on record and say I don't believe any of that.
Yeah, you don't. Honestly, I don't know if I do either.
I think she is I'm thinking in some way, shape, or form she ended up on Vulcan, stranded there, orphan, raised by Sarek in some capacity. But I think she's 100% human.
Because she totally has a Vulcan haircut in that scene where she's a king.
For sure. If that's her, again, we don't. It's pretty obvious it's her. But
yeah.
Who knows? I love the speculation.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything that they want to bring up about the trailer?
It's not in the trailer, but I will say I hope we do not have a theme song with lyrics. Okay, I said it.
I second that.
Okay.
No one in their right mind is going to argue with that one, Claire.
It might be a Rihanna song.
Oh boy.
Oh, that's true. She did that one.
That was pretty good, though.
The Rihanna song for Beyond was actually pretty good.
Yeah,
but
it was pretty
again,
good.
this is not Kelvin Universe. There's not going to be a Rihanna theme song. I'm pretty sure we're going to get something just musical, orchestral.
Yeah, I would like a return to that, especially given how grand the themes in this trailer were. It seems like this series will lend itself well to a grand sort of traditionally Star Trek style.
It's a great topic. It'd be cool if they had a really traditional theme.
I'd be happy if they used the reworked Alexander Courage theme that they use for the Kelvin movies.
And they used it at the end of the trailer, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. In summary, I did a rewatch while we were talking. The guy is blue. The Shenzhou is definitely a different ship than the one that flies out of the clouds.
Okay.
So I'm thinking that's and you can see her ears in a couple of scenes. So,
but not as a child though.
Not as a child. Not as a child.
Can you see her ear tips? Because I cannot.
Not as a child. There is one scene where you see her ear tips. At least one scene. So yeah, there you go. That's my summary.
Heather, final summary from you?
I'm just really excited. It was amazing watching that trailer. When I first watched Enterprise, I didn't have a lot of friends to talk to about it. And now I do. So I am really looking forward to some live tweeting or group tweeting or whatever we're going to do when these episodes air potentially. I mean, I don't know. It would be awesome, I think, if we had an episode to watch together at STLV, but I think that this is more likely to premiere closer to the fall. I'm curious to, for when that date will be announced, but I'm super excited. I was blown away by what I saw, and I can't wait for the next one.
Same here. I definitely am getting a little more excited. I know I said on Trek Ranks that I wasn't getting too excited, but I watched the trailer a couple more times for this, and I got more excited. So starting to build up. I can't wait for the next trailer. I'm looking forward to seeing what else we're going to find out before the show actually launches. And
we'll dissect this as a group together at STLV.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Will. So before we say goodbye for the evening, I had one thing that I wanted to bring up that I want you guys to comfort me. Because of the episode that we just did of Trek Ranks, we were talking with Carlos Miranda about his thoughts on Discovery and the trailer, and he said that he saw on Netflix that they had the trailer there and they had a whole bunch of cool splash artwork, right built into Netflix. And I was thinking to myself, how cool I can't wait to watch this on my television set. So this actually has become one of my biggest concerns about the series. I looked on my smart TV. I have an LG smart TV that's a little over a year old, and it was a new model when it came out. And it comes with Netflix and Hulu and Google Play and YouTube and Amazon, but there's no CBS app for my TV, no dedicated one. My Blu-ray player also doesn't have a dedicated one. And my Verizon Fios cable box doesn't have one. And it's not a channel I can subscribe to on there. So obviously I need some other device to be able to watch this on my actual television instead of watching it on my phone or on my iPad. So there is an Apple TV app that I found. It has a Discovery trailer, so I'm assuming that's where I'm going to be able to watch it. But it made me wonder, like, if you're just like an average Joe and you're not tech savvy and you don't have something connected to your TV to allow you to watch this, is that going to be a barrier of entry for people?
So I'm going to chime in here. Sorry, this is a big topic for me. This is the one area where I think I am concerned as well with CBS All Access, because they haven't permeated with their app into just easy access smart TV world. I have a Samsung, it's not there. Mm-hmm. I've got a Blu-ray player, I can't remember what type it is, it's not there. I know it's on the Apple TV, so that's one spot, but for the most part the app is not available as a smart TV app, which is definitely concerning. I've set my TV up. I don't have Apple, so I'm not an Apple guy. I've set my TV up so I can hardwire from my computer into my TV, so I'll be able to watch it that way and hook it up. But the last thing I want to do is watch a Star Trek TV show on my computer. Exactly. So I really, really hope that their distribution of the All Access app finds a way to permeate a little bit more, because that hasn't happened yet, and it's been a while.
Yeah, I have a Sony Blu-ray player that I use to watch stuff on my TV, also not on Sony.
Yeah, so
which is going to include then the PlayStation Network, presumably.
Yeah, it is. There is a CBS All Access app on the PlayStation 4, which
then maybe I need to look again.
Yes, you should. We just bought one last weekend, and I was super excited to find that there. Because I really hadn't put much thought into finding an app to watch it on my just regular boring TV. But look, so this is what I think, and we'll see what happens. But if this show is not successful on the CBS All Access app, I have a feeling they will move it over to Netflix. It's already going to be on Netflix outside of the US and Canada. I can't imagine that they are going to kill the show or let the show die completely because they're not getting numbers on CBS Access. But then again, I'm not in show business, so I don't know.
No, I mean, let's be clear. If it ever leaves the CBS All Access app, it'll be because CBS decided, let's close the door on our All Access app and farm out our shows in a different way to some of the more established streaming services. So the success of that isn't going to be predicated on the Star Trek side of things.
I do think, though, you bring up if it's hard for Trekkies to watch Star Trek on CBS All Access, then what is the rest of the CBS audience, which tends to be, I'm going to make some generalizations here, but CBS's lineup of shows tends to be targeted towards an older audience who may not be as tech savvy. So if they can't watch all 11 seasons of CSI Miami or whatever on CBS All Access, then that's not serving them either.
But they're smart about that because it totally is to an older audience. But that's why their first show was The Good Fight, which is a show that skews older in terms of the
But I'm saying if they can't watch it, then they're not. But they can't reach the audience.
But they've already renewed the good Fight for a second season, so somebody's watching it. Somebody's in the CBS office is saying, okay, the numbers signing up for CBS All Access are good enough to renew the good Fight and add 2 episodes of Star Trek. So they kind of think that the numbers they're expecting to get in terms of actual viewers is hitting where their targets are. You got to think that's happening.
Yeah, and I honestly kind of forgot. So I have a nice computer with a large monitor. So watching Star Trek on my computer isn't really a big deal. I'd rather watch it on my TV, but I'm not missing anything by watching it on my computer. And I so honestly kind of forgot that's not the case for a lot of people. So a lot of people would be stuck with their phone or a tablet or something that is actually going to diminish the experience for them.
Yeah. Millennial.
Just to frame this out for anybody who's listening, the only right now as of today, the only devices that are supported by CBS All Access are Apple devices, so Apple TV, iPad, and iPhone, Android, Google Chromecast, Fire TV, PS4, Roku, and Xbox. So if you don't have one of those, you better get one.
Good. I'll have to check. So I have a Sony, but it's not a PS4, but Sony owns PS4, and on the Sony, I have access to the PlayStation Network, although I've never used it because I don't need to. I'll have to go back and check and see what I've got access to then. It would be weird if only a subset of the Sony audience had access to it.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Maybe, and I'll soothe my own woes here. Maybe during between now and the time Discovery comes out, there'll be a little more proliferation of the CBS app, and it'll wind up on more platforms than just what it's on now. So, I mean, it can't be that hard to port the app around. I mean, Netflix has done it, and Amazon has done it. And I would love to see it as a default app on smart TVs.
You would think they would. I feel like there must be some kind of obstacle to that, though, because with the launch of the Good Fight and their big push for everything, you'd think it would be out there already. It's a little disconcerting that it's not yet.
Well, that and then they didn't also pursue any channel packages with cable providers like HBO has HBO on demand, Showtime on demand. They could have easily had a CBS subscription on demand that could have been on Comcast and FiOS and Cablevision or whatever, that you could have paid the $5.99 a month on your cable bill and got access to it through your cable box too. Would have been nice.
Well, we'll see where they end up. But there's no doubt that I don't think that the subscription numbers, those seem to be boding well based on the current feedback.
That's good.
Well, that's encouraging. So I guess that about wraps it up, guys. Are we anything else we want to say before we sign off?
Ready for the
No, I'm
next
good.
one.
All right. So, Claire Little, where can people find you on the internet?
I am on Twitter, and my handle is @isolinearchick. And that's it. I was going to say .com. I don't know why.
You should get isolinearchick.com.
You need that. You need that.
Yeah.
Jim Moorhouse, where can people find you?
I am at Enterprise Extra and at Trek Ranks, where you can hear the Trek Ranks podcast right here on the Tricorder Transmissions Podcast Network.
Always the salesman. Heather Barker, where can people find you?
I'm LLA Posper on Twitter. And please follow our Shore Leave account too. It's on there. I think it's just Shore Leave, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I am an admin for the unofficial Star Trek Las Vegas convention group on Facebook. So you can find us there. Jeff is an admin over there too.
Yes, I am. And I am Warp Factor Jeff on Twitter. And you can find the show at the tricordertransmissions.com, Tricorder Show on Twitter, and facebook.com/the Tricorder Transmissions. So thanks, everybody, for being here tonight. We had a great time and looking forward to the next trailer so we can do this all again.
Can't wait.
Hi there, thanks again for listening. If you're cruising the galaxy looking for even more Trek talk, why not visit our good friends Bill and Dan over at TrekGeeks.com? They've got a great podcast that covers a wide range of Star Trek topics, so you're sure to find something you'll love. And if you're in the mood for some awesome tunes, then you really need to head over to 5yearmission.net. The guys are writing a song for every episode of the original series, and each one is absolutely brilliant. So that's TrekGeeks.com and 5yearmission.net. Check them out today.